All right, I think we'll probably get started here, and more people may trail in as we're going. Thanks for pulling that side for me. GM, Foxfam, welcome to our bi-weekly operations office hours. This is more of a free-flowing, open community call where ops can talk to you guys and you guys can talk to us and ops about what's going on. Sometimes we have some prepped agendas where we talk specifically about some topics, and I do have one larger topic of goat no goats I wanted to talk about / discuss openly with everyone else. Doesn't look like it's a super well attended office hours. Maybe we'll get some people showing up a little bit later. That's okay too. We may run the whole hour. We may give some people some time back after we get through everything we're talking about today if there's no questions. I know my crew has a release today on Thursdays that we're just getting started with that as well. So say okay if we don't spend the whole hour philosophizing about operations things. Ops crew, if you want to jump on the stage, you're more than welcome to. I think I can even invite Max up here as well. I'm not sure. I think he should have the ability to hop up. I'm going to click this invite to speak as well. Not that you need to say anything, but if you guys want to be on stage as well, I'll send the same to Wesley. I'm not sure if you have perms. But yeah, so one of the biggest things I want to talk today about is goat no goats and kind of their importance and where we are currently in the DAO with our engineering velocity and our desire to scale and grow into bounties, and in hopes that that velocity can continue to kind of develop horizontally kind of across many different projects. And so we're at a unique sort of point in the DAO that as we grow, we're going to continually identify different bottlenecks. Some of them are going to be by design, maybe, or intentional for security reasons or process reasons. And some of them we'll find out are just maybe circumstantial to only having enough people with access to the right things or kind of knowledge contexts or things like that. So as we grow in a DAO, operations is going to be keenly aware of those sort of bottlenecks, and we're going to do our best to kind of massage solutions and opportunities for the DAO to become aware of those things, maybe self-aware of those things, and do our best to continue to be agile and move forward so we can continue the fire hose momentum. So if you're not that new to the DAO, you may have joined us on a previous Go No Go, which has now been lovingly titled Goats No Goats. And the like TLDR on that is we used to use the emojis for a knife and a goat to sacrifice a goat to make sure that everything went well, and we still do that sometimes on bigger projects. So the humor of these meetings actually being goats, no goats became how we're titling them now, because we're in DeFi and we can memify everything. So at Centralized Shapeshift, we used to use these to organize all of our different departments together and make sure that everyone was in alignment. Sometimes these would be arduous and they would be 6-part, 7-part, multi-month meetings. I think that there's some usefulness in having people organized that early on some of these projects. And I think that there was maybe some meetings that could have been emails and things like that, that maybe in the meet space when we had to have an office and things like that, it was better for engagement. But now that the rules have changed and we're all kind of working from home or in this digital space, there's definitely ways in which this process can improve and make sure that we engage everyone in the right ways. So some of these go-no-goes may only be 1 or 2 meetings long. Some of them still have lots of complicated parts that could depend and defer our launch day, our release day, things like that. So making sure everyone is on the same page is what we're trying to do at Ops with all these different projects. And so with that, having said that, and having been in this space for a while and seen the projects that we're working on, operations is launching a massive operation, I guess you could say, on getting all of these go-no-goes together. And so at a high level, the projects that we're all going to be organizing are the Cosmos work that the engineering team is doing right now, the Foxy work that is being bountied out by some team members, workstream members, contributors. We've also got some smaller ones that I think deserve coordination and collaboration, at least on making sure that marketing and growth for our PRs are in the right place. And those are the keep key settings, all of the new keep key settings that will be in app.shapeshift.com, the new fiat integration of Gem. That's definitely worth something we want to make sure all of the foxes out there are aware of with a good PR. This Foxy bounty, the deadline's pretty quickly approaching, and making sure that we get that coordinated and integrated and announced is something we're going to be hopefully coordinating just lightly. This is definitely an external bounty, so it won't take up a whole bunch of focus and energy from many contributors, but we will get that one across the finish line as well. We've got this not new idea, but new kind of environment of an alpha testing place where we're going to integrate Pendo for, and Mr. Nerdhair has finally been unblocked enough that that work is going to start showing up, and there's a whole bunch of really great things that we'll need to coordinate with support and product and marketing in terms of the scripts and material that is provided inside Pendo when you're interacting with that version of the app. There's definitely like some tutorials, some help buttons, some screens like that that we don't currently have in app.shapeshift.com, and I think they will only live inside this Pendo version. We also have a demo wallet that Ops created for engineering that we're going to try and create an experience that if you don't have a wallet and you'd like to see what the app experience is through all of its glory, we've got some kind of synthetic balances and TX-IDs. I mean, all of these are actually real and on chain, but it's kind of like a dummy wallet, and we'll be building a flow for users to be able to experience the entire app and its features without having to have any skin in the game. So, and then maybe overarching from all what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 go-no-goes I just mentioned, there's also a kind of go-no-go that is all these different individual go-no-goes I just mentioned as line items inside its framework. And that would be the go-no-go on when we're ready to start pushing users to app.shapeshift.com. I believe that we don't need to do a full sunset before we can have people being directed to app.shapeshift.com. And maybe if there is some discrepancy in feature parity, we can direct people to beta for those small features. But we're definitely building a whole bunch of exciting things in app.shapeshift.com, and everyone's still being directed to our old centralized code-based services of beta. So yeah, that's a lot of meeting organization and potential for a lot of meeting fatigue or loss of the details through repetition. So my hope is that I've spread out my team enough and don't have too many centralized points of knowledge and authority in this situation. And if you are listening on the call and you're involved in a work stream right now, you will probably have some coordination with one of the ops people here about a specific go no go to try and get you and your team up to speed on what we're collecting, what we're looking for, and how to get this thing across the finish line with no unknowns for any work stream members. Sometimes if you get tagged and involved in a go no go, it's as simple as like, hey, I'm the representative for support, so I'm going to put my 3 line items in there about making sure that all of my new Zendesk material is up there, and the date that we go live, I'm going to press the publish button. And I've done some training with all of my team to make sure that they know troubleshooting steps for the new features, and we've even created some macros around responses for the most suspected responses from this new feature. If you're in marketing or growth, that line item list might be more detailed towards press releases, coordinating with socials, copy around new features inside the app. Maybe there's some modals or some screens that have detailed dialogue or things like that that need to be run over. Sometimes that's in the product realm. Sometimes that's kind of jointly handled by people who are handling language and growth and marketing, and so on and so forth. Each work stream, whether it's security or engineering, each has a small ask of let's make sure we get what you thought you needed to have complete for this project listed for everyone else to see. And so one of the cool things from having these go-no-goes is even though it might feel like it's redundant, there might be an edge case in one of the items from one of the work streams that becomes a blocker or a dependency on another work stream. And us taking the couple of minutes out of the day, maybe once a week or maybe twice a week, depending on how close we are with these projects, can really help us avoid potential PR nightmares of people thinking they know what they're doing and not doing the right thing, us making sure that we hit all of our features and requirements. And it also allows us to kind of pare down some of this project into really what an MVP version of it, a successful MVP version, can look like. So yeah, that was my little soapbox on go-no-goes right now. We can talk individually about the ones coming up down the pipeline if you'd like. Some of them are going to be really simple, you know, the keep key settings page, the gem integration. Almost all of that work has been done. Product's done some really, really great jobs with their mock-ups inside Notion. And the work is maybe just one bounty hunter doing one GitHub ticket, and we might be really close to that. So in our normal cadences, that ticket for the keep key settings would just get pushed to in one of our releases on a Tuesday or Thursday. Operations would make sure everything looks good. We would give a thumbs up, and that would be the end of it. But given the circumstances that this keep key settings is fixing things that have been broken for a really long time, and our old data of our assets in orbit of people who engage with ShapeShift shows that a vast majority of our users are keep key device owners, that making sure that even though this is maybe a small, tiny release, making sure support, making sure growth and marketing have everything they need if they'd like to make this a big announcement, we can make sure that we do that. And that doesn't need to block this from happening, you know. We definitely have projects and times which we release things quietly and we announce them after they've baked inside prod for a while, or after we've made sure that there's no extra unforeseen states or bugs. But for the most part, in this new open source software that we're in, we're seeing that the code kind of does what we expect it to do, which is a first for me. And I'm trying to normalize that here. But it allows us to move really freaking quickly. So yeah, trying to keep up with the times means that we're probably going to have a whole bunch of mini 10 to 15 minute go-no-goes coming with that. And I please ask that you do take them seriously. there's a way in which all of us as work streams can make sure that we check our boxes and we aren't mindful of collaboration between the work streams, and we can still get work done. But we definitely will create a circumstance that could provide miscommunication, could provide situations of maybe like a tragedy of the commons where a task was talked about and everyone assumed someone else was going to do it. And here, ops is the day beforehand, we were supposed to launch, trying to scramble to solve that thing because no one actually said yes to it. So I hope that these meetings are things that will continue to evolve based on the circumstances of the needs of the project that we're discussing, but that each work stream or stakeholder, if you're ever tagged or reached out to about one of these things, that you take them seriously, that the couple minutes of work that you do in listing your blockers and your notes can really go for much more than maybe the work you're thinking it is when you're documenting it. We definitely archive all of our go-no-goes and look back at them as to what worked and what didn't work. And if things blow up really horribly, we can set up a retro, and using the go-no-goes is a really great way for us to measure accountability inside our projects, and maybe a blameless and agile perspective to allow us to address those issues with tangible solutions and move forward with the hope of continually DAOing it. So yeah, that was a long-winded speech on go-no-goes. I don't know if anyone on the stage has anything to add, or if Never Was or Ron, if you guys feel like joining and talking as well. I don't see anything in the stage about questions about it, so I'm assuming you guys are all down for operations to keep sending these go-no-goes out, and you will be joining them, and you will be participating, and all of these will be happening rather quickly and successfully. So I'm just taking everyone's silence as consent to joining in these, unless you speak up otherwise.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. Mikey.
Cool. Well, I can spend some time talking about who's doing what inside these go-no-goes as well. We don't have to. I feel like that might be beside the point. But we do have two ops assistants on stage with us today that are still training, Wesley and Maria. And they will be shadowing alongside some of our other ops assistants as we do this. So be kind in your engagements if you find yourself with a shadow partner there. They're learning on the job and drinking from the fire hose, much like many of you were previously to feeling comfortable in your current responsibilities. So, yeah. Going to be a quiet and short office hours with all this silent consent that you guys are signing up for all of my go-no-goes. Yeah, we'll just turn this into malicious compliance. I don't have much to talk about outside of that and maybe our deployment process and Cypress. If you guys haven't checked out Cypress yet, there was an engineering demo yesterday, where DeFi showed off the end-to-end testing that Apotheosis built. And this allows us to basically, you can think of it as a robot that has the ability to point and click on any of the buttons, similarly to what a human might do. It starts to get complicated when we think about third-party dependencies, maybe like 0x API or a Thor API. And it gets a little finicky when it comes to maybe interacting with actual hardware. So building a test to connect and type in a pin on a key becomes something that's not quite inside the scope of this. But outside of those sort of edge cases and maybe like performing actual trades or staking transactions and things like that, we do have the ability to now have robots do what ops used to spend a lot of our time spinning on the hamster wheels doing. And these robots aren't going to take over our jobs. They're definitely raising our floor, but self-aware of their own ceiling. Helpers here. They're like that glorified butter passer robot in Rick and Morty. You know, they have a task they do, and they should do it really well, and that should help operations and engineering release our contributed bounties into our PR with more trust and success. Yeah, and I hope in someday that we can get 50, 75% of what we do in tests into these, but ops will always keep watch and always be a guard. So regardless of how much we want to trust the robots, trusting that the robots are being accurate and true is something that I think having human intervention will always help in terms of site reliability and feature functionality. So no one's losing their jobs over robots. The robots aren't taking over here. But that we are going to ride alongside with them and hopefully increase our own velocity and allow us to do this kind of multi-armed octopus go-no-goes more successfully, because we can spend less time having every single one of us swarm and take care of regression tests. I had some hopes that maybe these regression tests would be things that we would be turning into bounties for the rest of the community. And after having the Cypress tests show up inside our experience, it's really hard for me to commit that same level of energy and money to one-time bounties or like recurring bounties when they could be one-time bounties into tests to have them really be helpful to us. So there may be a pause on bounties for operations to be able to work with outside contributors as we really utilize these new features inside the end-to-end test that we got. So I apologize if you were biting your fingernails and waiting anxiously in the wings for operations bounties. We still have the ability to work alongside you with what we're doing, but I think that building these specific tasks out for Fox or things like that, that marketing and growth have done, isn't really applicable in our current state of developing our processes and iterating upon them. So I hope to have better answers about that in the future, but currently our focuses now have been pointed more inward in structure for support for the velocity that's being asked of us from engineering and product. So yeah. Anyone on stage got any feels about anything that I've just talked about, or anyone in the audience too? I can monologue all day if you guys want, but I'm happy to have this be a discussion too.
No, I think the Cypress test will definitely help us out in the long run. We already had one fail inside this newest release and waiting to hear back on why that failed currently. But I think once we actually get a deeper understanding of each test and independently of what they're doing, we can answer these questions ourselves. But since this is very new, it's more of just asking engineering on what does this mean. So sure. I think that's something that we can expand upon and make sure when they're running these tests, they have some kind of obvious name coordinated with them.
Totally. We'll be building Legos on top of the Legos that have been provided, I think, for some time now.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to read this jargon. It's giving me a headache.
That's what Ops is here to do. We're here to read the jargon, have the headache for everyone else, and then maybe spit out something on the other end that's less headache-inducing.
For sure.
I don't know if anyone will want to listen to us, but that's when we're here to make it fucking easy, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, has anyone in the audience got some questions for us, or any sort of subjects that maybe we discussed or didn't discuss yet that they'd like to hear some ops perspective on? If not, I feel like I got my prepared spiel about go no goats out and gave the warning shots to all those that are present and listening. I'm sure there's a lot of robots in the audience right now that are very concerned about our go no goes, but I do see some contributors out there that will definitely be involved. Cool. I might leave it open for just a minute or two in case people have some questions. If not, we'll throw Lo-Fi back up here. We can give everyone a half hour of their lives back. And you guys in ops can pivot to focus on the release, I think, that just got posted. Sweet. Simple and easy, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening to me talk about Go-No-Go's. Yeah, we'll see you on Discord. We'll see you maybe if you want to see what we're doing today in the release, check out Operations Public Chat. If you need any support from us in any way, shape, or form, my DMs are always open. Operations Public Chat is open. All of these fine folks that are up on the stage with me as well are super interested in making your involvement and experience with the DAO and our product suite as successful as possible. So please feel free to use us in any times of need, or if you're looking for assistance in anything. We are here to serve you. So cool.
Amen.
Thanks, Fox Fam. We'll bring Lo-Fi back up here. You guys can feel free to jam out. And got a governance call a little bit later today I will be hosting. So would love to see you on that call later as well.